frustrated, even when we're trying to love, what happens is it doesn't come through in its fullness. In other words, it doesn't, when you look at First Corinthians, he was like, when you're frustrated, you can't truly be gentle and kind and long-suffering and not keep a record of wrongs and not boastful and, all those things that we see in First Corinthians. And he said, and even if you are sharing truth and sharing the good news with people, if it comes from a place of frustration and you've got frustration as a foundation, then it'll be like the clanging cymbals, like he says in the first part of 1 Corinthians 13. So that really just kind of drove home to me, and so he has been allowing us to deal with frustration. And the second one was fear. He said fear of anything, and he kind of talked about whether it's fear of success, fear of failure, fear of lack. There's a couple of other ones that he named, but he said to allow him to completely continue to deal with fear because it's the complete opposite of faith. He said because it keeps you from progressing forward. Because the word tells us to walk by faith, to live by faith, and not by sight. And fear is that false evidence appearing real that keeps us bound, and keeps us from forward walking forward in faith. So that kind of brings us up to this point. So then today, as we're dwelling, he said to allow him, as you're dwelling and spending some time in his presence, now that he's dealt with frustration, fear, and also then the last one was forgiveness, to allow him to renew purpose in you. And he said to even allow him to share with you certain things that are in your destiny, that you would desire, and you believe the Lord would desire you to accomplish in the year 2018, and that we want to actually meditate and allow him to show us those things and to actually share them with one another. And we can also share, if any of us need to share openly about how the Lord's dealing with us or how we need prayer or how he's, whether it's a praise report or something we're still struggling with concerning fear, frustration, or forgiveness. We can talk about that. But the other thing is to just allow him to show us that he's already given me the three things. And some of you may already know them. Like if there are some certain things that are in alignment with your purpose and your destiny that God has instructed you to do, and they're haven't come to fruition yet, or you haven't completed them yet, but you believe that they can come to fruition in 2018, that we want to share those things and to actually write them down. And he said to keep them, like he told me to keep them until next year at this time, and then to bring them out again, so that we can kind of, hold one another accountable, and being, praying for one another, and that's kind of it. And then so we can discuss, there's food to eat, and then the sukkah is set up downstairs, and all you have to do is you open the gate and you unzip it, and there's a little plastic thing right before you walk in so that you can take your shoes off and step onto that before you step into the tent. That way we're not tracking like leaves and dirt or whatever inside the tent, the sukkah. And I encourage you to take music with you in there. I've been taking my phone in there and just putting music on to allow the Lord to create a worshipful atmosphere. And there's also little books and stuff in there that you can read.
And there's bug spray outside on the fence.
Yes, and there's bug spray off on the fence. So if you want to spray, because the mosquitoes and stuff are out there. So
don't spray it in the tent because it's
spray on the
outside.
So who's going first?
So anybody have any questions or comments about the fear, frustration, or whatever, or what he asked us to do concerning? I'll share, for example, because since he was bringing it to me this morning, there were, oh gosh, I thought there were three things. One was to publish my book. And I actually printed it out. And Rashad, 2 different people told me that you should be one of the people that I should allow to edit it. And I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't want to give it to you to read it.
Why?
But 2 different people like said it, and they're both prophetic people, so I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do.
I know.
I read stuff.
I know. You're listening.
And make corrections.
I actually printed out a copy, which I can either give you that copy, unless you prefer it digitally.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I'll just email it to you. But I printed it out and I started reading it. Where is it? So that was my first step. I printed it out and I actually started putting it together. So I've done my first editing. Word, yeah. So that was one thing, is publishing the book. The second thing, oh my gosh, it's about to run into my remembrance. Because I thought it was 3 things. The third thing was to have a business plan, because he is, guys all know that he's been speaking to me about a restoration house, an apostolic center, and I've jotted all kind of notes, and they're like all over the place, little bit, as he's given me bits and pieces concerning it. But he said to actually complete a business plan, like a, actual business plan. And I think that has to be before the end of 2018. It actually needs to be prayerfully by the time Jaya graduates, or like that summer before she goes off to college, because I believe that's when the Lord may have a major transition take place when she graduates and when she gets off to college. I feel like there was a third one and I cannot remember. So I should put it down. Just have to bring it back to my
Life coaching.
Yeah, I'm still praying into that, because that sounds like a whole career change.
Well, that goes along with the restoration house, so it's a package.
It does. And there's actually 3 different women that he's got in my life, that he has in my life. Oh, that was the other one. Was to do at minimum of 100 radio broadcasts, which will force me to do more than 1 a week. Because so far I've just been averaging 1 a week. So if I do 100, a minimum of 100, then that means I have to do more than 1 a week. That was the other one. I need to write that down. But it's funny that you mentioned that, Chandra, because ever since you told me that like 2 different women have called me about wanting to meet with
good.
me.
That's confirmation.
One-on-one.
So you need to add that in your 2018 criteria. You can't say you ain't know.
Yeah, but that's a whole different. Like, I could see Keisha doing that.
You need to stop doing it.
Because that's
Look, the word has already been out. Don't try to pass it on to somebody else.
Don't pass the book.
That's
Keisha
her thing,
probably
though.
yeah, but it might be her thing too. I mean, hers might not look like yours. Yours might not look like hers. Tell her, Keisha.
Good job.
What's she doing trying to pass the baton?
Well, I do remember that she already talked about having a business out of her home.
Well, she already got her
a year or
business
so ago
license,
that
right?
She talked about
So
doing
hers is just need to get
It's
started.
counseling.
Oh, it already started.
And it's counseling, but doing it out of your home.
Consultant.
You what?
I had a contract. I was doing consulting. I stopped last year.
At your house?
But that's when I was doing my outpatient practice.
Oh.
I did under my business.
So you just need that contract. Okay, we can pray into
Counseling or
that.
consulting?
Consultant?
It was I put my business consultant, but one of the contract was doing doing outpatient counseling.
Okay.
I use that.
Well, she could do both.
Why'd you stop?
Because where everything was going on, I stopped.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just all the treatments and stuff.
Okay, you can start back up. Then I'll see.
Do what the Lord tells you.
I'm gonna be motivated today. I need y'all to do me the same.
So how did
What you gonna have to do?
I want to hear some testimonies concerning those who dealt with the fear and frustration. Y'all were at Yom Kippur. Has the Lord ministered to you about those since then?
I think I just got frustration today.
Did you?
Been dealing with the fear ever since. Because there's so many levels of fear. And there's so many things under that umbrella of fear. So many things to be fearful of. I think I'm past the fear of lack. I don't think I'm past the fear of failure yet.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Okay. Have you started watching the videos yet?
No, I haven't. Well, I only started introduction. I haven't been able to sit still.
I told you.
Tomorrow?
It's like you have to block time and just force yourself to like.
I've been
'Cause
working
that's
so
what I
much.
did. I had to do that. I had to just.
I'm not
like,
even finished
get
my
up and
conference stuff. Oh,
start. Maybe that's why-
frustration.
Maybe that's why you can't eat tomorrow.
Tomorrow, but then
Yeah.
you know
You can go
people keep asking me to do stuff. Like I gotta do the sermon that Sunday, and then I gotta pray Tuesday. Like I'm preparing for those things, and I haven't been able to prepare the stuff I'm supposed to. It'd be time for me to
But
go.
I already told you. What did I already tell you about that? There's
What?
more in you than I believe.
But
you
I don't
think
feel
you
like I
are.
could be. I don't know.
Like you have.
I'm
to
being
trust-
stretched, really.
You have studied to show yourself approved. You've got so much stuff inside of you from all the research and studying and stuff that you've done over the years. He can give you the word at the drop. He might give it to you
I think that's
on
what's
the
going
plane
on.
ride over there. So don't get all.
That's
bent
the
out of shape.
frustration. I like
You
to be
gotta release
prepared,
that. You've got to know.
and I don't
But you-
feel like I'm prepared.
But you've studied to show yourself approved.
I know, but I still feel like it's frustrating not being prepared. Every time I do it, I can't even do an outline. Every time I do an outline and I get a word of what I'm supposed to write about, I gotta keep going, change my outline.
Fear of failure.
Huh?
Fear of failure.
And then part of that perfectionist,
Fear
So
of
we need to
failure.
pray for you concerning fear.
and the expectation part. I'm feeling frustrated because they're expecting so much
One of the
that I
most,
don't know if I can.
one thing that has happened to me in preparation for people is or to speak to people that is not me speaking, and if you have more than one person, all of them going to take it differently anyway. And if God doesn't speak, then it's useless for us to even open our mouths. But when I have been the least involved in the speaking, and, if you can hear that, it seems like it's more impressive to people. In other words, the feedback comes back as they have been more impressed when I have been less involved. And I used to do outlines, sometimes still do outlines. I never complete the outline or never go by the outline. Because, even the word says at the very, if whenever you have a need to give a witness for the hope that's in you, that same hour he'll give you what to say. So,
It changes to keep changing.
well, it changes because I feel like it changes for me because I put myself in it and I try to develop it. But when I let it flow, it seems like it's even what I've written sometimes is not what I say.
That's fear too for me, that I'm gonna stand up there and nothing comes out. And I don't want to
Pray.
read from my paper.
The longest,
And then I have another part of that where I'm gonna leave something out, and it's like everything is important. I gotta use everything.
you can't cover it all anyway. If you
And then I was like, I don't have
Especially
enough
if you're doing
information
something
for 15
related
minutes.
to you. Especially
I'm trying to make it more personal. That's why I was
that's what
gonna
I'm
use
saying.
the crown
You
and
have
stuff.
to make
That's,
it more personal.
I need to make it more
It's in
personal.
that bag. Don't forget that bag.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to make it more personal. It's better when you talk about stuff that's more personal. It's easier for you
You
to
right.
remember when it's related to you.
But then I'll be putting all my business out, and is that okay?
Yeah, if it's a
As
testimony.
the Holy Spirit gives it to you. Yes, as the Holy Spirit.
And it's like, how much
you
do
don't
I
wanna-
tell? How much do I not tell?
And you don't know how much business you might be hitting somebody else at the same.
Because I'm very transparent. Like, I need to know what's the cutoff.
Well, you have to trust the Spirit of
Gotta
God
trust
within you. The key when getting in, when you have to go before people, one of the things that I have found, especially when I'm doing like a teaching in front of a group, is to really worship. Like, get in His presence. You have to just worship and really be in His presence prior to going, before people and being prayed up. You know what I'm saying? Because then the more in tune you are, you know what I'm saying, with the Holy Spirit, like worship to the place where you're able to just release all cares, all concerns, get rid of all distractions, so that you can just be more as in tune as you can be with the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? And then it'll flow.
Well, I've been doing a whole bunch of worship and praying. A lot of praying.
You're good. Don't overthink it.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems a lot. It's, prepared for 500 plus people for 3 days. And then having to go from there to another church. And I don't even have a message for that one.
It's already in you.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to talk
Not
about.
in your own might or in your own power.
And then I have the other stuff where where I don't have all of the provision and I'm still waiting. So.
I don't know. This week has been warm compared to the last few weeks, and I guess it's kind of been frustration at work because it seems like nothing. It's a bad word, but it seems like a lot of things are not going right, and so I've been having to pray about not allowing myself to be frustrated with people that are not doing what they say they're going to do. And so frustration has been at a height this particular week. And then the heat, I don't know if that is anything that bothers sometimes anybody else, but it's been so nice and cool and comfortable. And all of a sudden the days have been warm. And that just adds to sometimes, the frustration of just being calm, and that just helps, reminds me to pray about not allowing the enemy in people, not people, but the enemy in people to make me frustrated. And I almost got frustrated when a real close friend today. But I started thinking about who he was and what was going on. And sometimes thinking is meditating, so meditating is a part of prayer as well. So
you need some worship time.
yes, I need some worship time. Yep.
And whenever he always takes me back to Philippians 4, when he deals with frustration, dealing with anxiety, with anything, it's like, and he reminds me of the importance of recognizing, when it starts to come upon you, because emotions are emotions, and we're human, but he's given the solution, and Philippians 4 is one of the greatest applications when he says to be anxious for nothing, but in all things, to make your requests known to him with thanksgiving. And so it's like remembering to have to just pause and release those things to him, whenever they start to come up, whatever's frustrating you, to release it to him, because it's like, then he says that the peace of God will guard your heart and mind. And it's like, but there's an if before that. It's like you have to take it to him in prayer and thanksgiving versus allowing it to just
Stay with you.
stay with you.
I like 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
But it's remembering to have to control.
I noticed since we got the water, I've had less fear about the future than before. I've had less fear and frustration about the future. But before I used to stress myself out and worry. But I have more peace since we get the water.
And that was the one the enemy was trying to get you to forget.
I'm trying to figure out how can I have like a whole week of just joy and then it disappears. Where did it go?
It didn't disappear. It's just the enemy telling me it disappeared.
No, but even it was. I could tell the difference. Like it's what happened.
Is it happiness or is it joy?
It was.
I was thinking that.
It was joy. Y'all saw me this past Saturday.
But is it happiness?
That wasn't happiness. That was a whole different, and it lasted for so long. Like
There's a difference though.
I know, but it was like, because I know happiness is a temporary thing.
We possess joy.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that.
Joy is a thing,
Not an action.
not an emotion, not a feeling. Joy is something we possess. It's like we possess love. Love is a thing. These are things that we have. Now, you can say where happiness is something that comes out because of joy sometimes, but I still have joy even when I'm not happy. Because God gave it to me. Joy is a thing.
So what really is joy then?
I love the way the Amplified explains it.
You just gotta remember the testimony. What do you have joy about? What did God? You had joy about what God did for you.
So what happened?
I'm trying to remember where it is.
What happened? I mean, it got to the point where I was feeling depressed. Like it just came upon me like heavy. I mean, I'm pressing.
You know,
But
depression is a
today was
spirit.
like really, I don't know.
You know, depression is a spirit.
It is. So I guess I need to work some more.
Joy is a state of being where you are able to.
So it's a mindset.
It's a calmness. It's a state of rest, like regardless of what is going on. Where you have, again, it's a strength in you. That's why the word says that the joy of the Lord is our strength, because it's a state of being where you're able to still trust and have faith in God, even in the midst of anything and everything that's going on. Like it's just this part of you that's still able to just kind of be at rest. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that this is just temporary. You know what I'm saying? You're able, and you recognize that even this is going to be worked out for your good.
I know what Centra's saying. I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, I totally understand. But joy is understanding where you are, and regardless of what's going on, you still have that press that you already have to move forward. That's joy.
That pressing in is the joy.
Yeah, it's why I said the joy of the Lord is my strength. So if I gain strength by having joy, if you didn't have any joy, then you wouldn't have any strength.
I definitely don't feel like I have any strength.
But you're still pressing, so you have strength.
I don't feel like I'm pressing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and these are things that we have to understand. Like, it's not about the emotive part of ourselves, how we feel. It's about what we're actually doing.
Okay.
And you're still doing everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still grinding it out. Even though you don't feel like doing it, you still are. Even though you're getting attacked by that depressive spirit, you're still going and doing what you're doing. You're not at home, locked away under your bed with no lights on, crying about by yourself. Like, that's truly being defeated, and you're not there. You're here amongst the people, like-minded people, like-minded, who have your best interest. So you still possess that. Like, that's one of those things that we get. Okay. So when we get saved, God gave us gifts, right? And because He's joy and Yeshua's joy, we also have that same joy. It's like we have the same love and those other things that we get. We have the same ruach because He gave those things to us when we got saved. So you always have those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't give that away. You can suppress it and not acknowledge it, and have the enemy try to fight us with stuff. But you always have it. It's like you may not feel loved in, but you have love. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always have it, because we possess it. Like, we got to get out of this mindset that these things are feelings, or these things are possessions. Like, we have these things in us. God gave them to us.
Bless you.
Right. It's the mindset. You're being